Jaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavari Vastyatyaji Shatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Gaura Prashaya Bhutale Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyana Deshaviti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Namine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Radhe, Jai 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 Shri Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Radhe, Jai Jai Shri
Hari
Radhe.
Bol, Hari
Haribo,
Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaura Haribo, Haribo, Haribo,
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari
Nitai
Bol.
Gaura Haribo, 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 Haribo.
Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva.
Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Go Premanandi.
Viva.
Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Bhavika Giridhari Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai,
Jai.
Nityananda Rai Ki Jai,
Jai.
Satchinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai, Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jai Mahabhagavat Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Saptam Goswami Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai, Jai Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Srila Baladevi Devusham Gaudiya Vedantacharya Ki Jai, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai, Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Treya Ki Jai, Srila Krsna Das Kaviraja Goswami Pada Ki Jai, Jai Shri Rup Sanatan, Shri Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopal, Vardasa Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai, Jai Swarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Gauda Parasada Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haras Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Sikahol Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasati Shri Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhana Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Ganga Jamuna Ki Jai, Burihat Mridanga Ki Jai, Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai, Nam Bhajan Ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Kopishwa Mahadev Ki Jai, Punamasi Devi Maharani Ki Jai, Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami Ki Jai, Raghunath Das Goswami Ki Jai, Krsna Das Kaviraja Goswami Ki Jai, Tirobhava Ki Jai, Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Gauda Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Om Aginati Mirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Prabhajantamana Petyam Apeti Krityam Dvaipayano Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tammayatayo Taravo Vinedustam Sarvabhutam Hridim Munimanatoshmi Anapita Chirim Chirat Kurunavardino Kalo Samarapaitam Unnata Ujalar Samswakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundarata Dikatam Basadipita Sadafridare Kandare Sparatu Basachinandanaha Bhaktiya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptascha Karmadi Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Bharadram Tato Mamanasti Katina Kapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Nayamam Charantikam I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Astottara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions and millions of times unto our beloved Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Astottara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And all our illustrious Rupanuga Guru Varga, especially today, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Srila Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, and Srila Krsna Das Kaviraja Goswami. All my Dandavat pranams, and unto all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams. Vansha kalpa turubhyascha, kripa sindhuve vicha patitanam pavnibhyo Vaishnave namo namaha. So today is a very incredibly auspicious day, and we have some local background sound just to support us today. So that's part of the life here in Bengal. They like to celebrate very loudly. It's only successful for them if it's loud. Anyway, we will push on, and hopefully our vibration will somehow or other rise above the celebration in the streets. So today we have an opportunity to associate with three remarkable personalities, the teen Goswamis. When we visit Radha Kund, we see, if you know where the Sangam is at Radha Kund, and then you come into Radha Kund, and then there's Gopal Bhatta Goswami is just up a little bit, and beside him is the Samadhi of Teen Goswami, it's called. And then these three personalities, and then just behind them is the Raghunath Das Goswami's Bhajan Kutia and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Bhajan Kutia also. So we're sitting in a very extremely holy place on the banks of Radha Kund, celebrating these three personalities who all gave up their material bodies in Radha Kund on the same day. So this indicates immediately the transcendental nature of these personalities. If a personality is able to, at will, choose the day of his departure, then this indicates their prominence in their bhajan and bhakti, etc. So these three personalities in 1571, Raghunath Das, he left this world, and in 1579, Raghunath Bhatta left this world, and in 1616, Srila Krsna Das Kaviraja left this world. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, at the very end, it's described that Srila Krsna Das Kaviraja is commenting that the year that he's completed his Chaitanya Charitamrita was 1615. So, and he's already expressed his invalidity and age and trembling hand, etc. So it's assumed that he left practically straight after the completion of that work. So that would have been 1616. So he's the most recent one added to this three Goswami Samadhi. So we can go and describe these three personalities, but we should understand that to meditate individually on these personalities and their enormous contribution to Mahaprabhu's mission. And by this meditation, we can take their association today in particular, because when it's the disappearance, Abirbhav or Tirobhava of any great personality, we should understand there is definitely a window from the transcendental world open to offer their mercy on this particular day of their appearance or disappearance day. It's a sacred day, it's a special day. So we only want this mercy. It's described Bhakta Padaduli Ara, Bhakti Padajal, Bhakti Bhukta Avesha, E Tina Mahabal. Three ways we are praying for this grace: the dust of the lotus feet from the bhaktas, the water that has washed their lotus feet, and the remnants of their prasad. So all three of these we can aspire for today by hearing about their remarkable pastimes and the extent of their affection and dedication to the service of Mahaprabhu. We can begin with Raghunath Das Goswami. We understand he was born in a very wealthy family. His father was Govinda Majumdar, his brother Hiranya Majumdar, his father's brother. And he was the only child in a very wealthy home. And from a very early age, his Guru Maharaj was Balaramacharya, who's a dear friend of Haridas Thakur, who stayed sometimes in his house with Balaramacharya. And also Yadunandanacharya. Balaramacharya is like the family priest, and Yadunandanacharya, who's a disciple directly of Advaitaracharya, is like the family guru. So these two personalities were very much influential in Raghunath Dasa's early formative years, especially Haridas Thakur. My Gurudev described that Raghunath Das Goswami, who is well known and famous for his incredible renunciation when he goes to Puri later on. This was inspired, the seed of that mood was planted by Haridas Thakur when he was about 7 or 8, 9 years old, something like this, very young boy. And he had the fortune to be sitting in the company of Haridas Thakur. Balaramacharya had taken him there to his house and he'd had darshan. And at that point, because all these exceptional qualities and exceptional strengths of the devotee, they are all gifted by the acharyas. This is what I was just saying, that we can pray for this grace today to receive some particle of their mercy today to go forward in our own personal bhajan. So Raghunath Das, he was very detached, just naturally. Even from his birth, he was detached. Raghunath Das, of course, is a Nitya Siddhaparika. His transcendental identity is Rati Manjari or Tulsi Manjari, either those two names. Actually, all three of these personalities we're glorifying today, they've all given their spiritual identities. So we can appreciate the level that these personalities were on in their bhajan, etc. So this is Raghunath Das Goswami. And he was fortunate to have the darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who came to Shantipur. Raghunath Das Goswami is in, what's the place called? Slipped my mind. Not Shantipur, but his birthplace. It's just gone from my head. Shantipur. Saptagram. It sounds a bit like Shantipur, so I get mixed up. Saptagram. Raghunath Das was coming from Saptagram, which is near Panihati. It's on the other side of the river from Panihati, which is just north of Calcutta. So in Shantipur, Mahaprabhu was on his way to Ramkeli. He was actually on his way to Vrindavan, but he was going via Ramkeli because Mahaprabhu, in his northern journey, this is after he's taken sannyas, Mahaprabhu, in 1510. Then from 1510 until 1515, he was traveling in South India and he remained in Puri. And then he came up the coast and he stayed in Shantipur with Advaitaracharya in his sannyas vesh and gave darshan to all the residents of Navadvip at that time. And it seems that he was on a mission to collect all of these manjaris that were there. He was going to collect Rupa and Sanatan and also Raghunath Das and begin Gopal Bhatta was already in South India, yes. So not that time. But this time he was going to Vrindavan and he stopped in Ramkeli. And when he was staying in Shantipur at the house of Advaita Acharya, then Raghunath Das, he came to the house. His father allowed him to come to the house and he had darshan directly. And as soon as he saw Mahaprabhu, his heart was gone, just completely melted. And he understood, this is my eternal master. This is the Lord of my life. And he wanted to remain with Mahaprabhu. But Mahaprabhu said, no, you go back home and you behave nicely. And then when the time is right, you will come to me, join me in Puri. Then Mahaprabhu, he goes to Ramkeli. And then in that interim time, Raghunath Das, he's so much touched by the mood of Mahaprabhu, he wants to run away from home. So he's trying many times to escape his very wealthy home. Raghunath Das is like a prince, practically. He's the only heir to the enormous fortune of his father and his uncle, Hiranya Majumdar. They received more than crore patties in today's calculation. So he was heir to this. And the two brothers very much wanted to make sure that he was going to inherit the property, just like generally Indian families do like that. They're very concerned for their heirs. So Raghunath Das, though, after he had first darshan of Mahaprabhu, was trying to run away many times. And his father would send soldiers and guards to catch him and bring him back again and again. And then when Mahaprabhu returned, because when Mahaprabhu reached Ramkeli, he meets Rupa and Sanatan. And it's at this time that Sanatan Goswami indicates to Mahaprabhu that this is not the way to travel to Vrindavan with thousands and thousands of followers. This is not really the best way to enter that sacred realm of Vrindavan. And Mahaprabhu, he listens. Initially, when Sanatan Goswami says that, he doesn't pay it so much attention, but the next morning, he starts to think over that matter and think, yes, this is not the way to come into the land of Krishna in Vrindavan. So then he decides he will come back to Puri and he begin his journey again, which he does, and he goes through the Jarikanda forest the second time. But on his way back again, he stops at the house of Advaita Acharya in Shantipur. And at that time again, Raghunath Das has his second darshan of Mahaprabhu. And this time Mahaprabhu instructs him because he understands he's become very restless, trying to escape and go to Puri. And Mahaprabhu instructs him, act like a pound, shillings and pence man. Act in a very respectful way to your parents, etc. And then actually nobody is going to be quite so attentive to you if you act very nicely and do what is expected of you. So Raghunath Das, he goes back and he behaves very well and very respectfully. And his parents, naturally, they think, oh, he's had a change of heart. So they start to relax all the guards, etc. But still Raghunath in his heart is only holding this desire to be with Mahaprabhu in Puri. And then crucial factor in the whole pastime is that Nityananda Prabhu, who is sent by Mahaprabhu, comes to Panihati on his preaching mission. Mahaprabhu himself, for his last 18 years, remains in Puri because Nityananda is doing all the preaching work here in Bengal. He sends him up here along with Advaita Acharya. So these two personalities are taking care of the preaching aspect of Mahaprabhu's mission. So then when Raghunath Das comes to Panihati, this is a beautiful pastime, I'm sure we all know, I won't spend long on it, but Raghunath Das, he comes to in the proximity of Nityananda Prabhu, and one of Nityananda's sevaks points out, oh, here is Raghunath. And immediately Nityananda says, capture him, bring him here. He's like a thief. Why is he standing on the back there? Bring him clear here. And then he catches him and he says, now I've caught you like a thief. Now I have to punish you. Now you have to make a festival for all my followers, all these people here. You have to make a festival. This Chir Dahi Mahotsav. and you buy chip rice, etc. in the market, and banana, kela, and dahi, and you make a beautiful picnic here on the bank of the Ganga. So Raghunath is overjoyed with this because he's brought many servants and brought much wealth and money with him. He wants to give this money to Nityananda. So very enthusiastically engages all his servants to go and collect all the ingredients, etc. And an enormous crowd, like we can conceive in India. Thousands and thousands of people come to this Panihati festival, Mahotsav, on the banks of the Ganga. And they begin to take these wonderful preparations. Every year we celebrate this festival. So at this time, Raghunath Das is totally engrossed in the seva to Nityananda directly. And when the seva is complete, actually Nityananda, it's described that the height of the ecstatic mood of the kirtan is so extreme that even Mahaprabhu comes. So Nityananda and Mahaprabhu are dancing in that kirtan. Mahaprabhu is coming from Puri in his spurti form. But Raghunath Das, he sees this. So his heart is greatly agitated with extreme bliss and ecstasy. And then Raghava Pandit, he comes because Nityananda Prabhu is staying with Raghava Pandit and tells her, oh, I've made so many nice preparations to feed you today. But Nityananda says, no, I will take all that in the evening time. So then after the festival, Raghunath Das is begging for mercy from Nityananda. And Nityananda says, go home and behave nicely. And when the time is right, Krishna will automatically open the door for your escape. So Raghunath Das, he returns home to his father's place and he bides his time. But one day, the pujari doesn't attend the puja. And Yadunandan, the guru of the household, he's concerned for the pujari, and he requests Raghunath Das to come with him to walk across the fields to the pujari's house and get the pujari to come to do the seva. So they're walking across the fields together, and then Raghunath Das is inspired, and he tells Yadunandan, no need to come, I will go to the pujari's house, I know where it is, you can just go back. And then at that time, Raghunath Das understands that this is his moment, this is when he's free, so he runs. Right, Yadunandan goes back to the home, and Raghunath runs to Puri, and he goes by all the side roads. He doesn't go on the main roads because he knows his father will try to bring him back. Shivananda Sain, meanwhile, is taking a Prikama party to Puri, and he certainly avoids that because that's the first place his father goes to. Anyway, he arrives in Puri after 12, 15 days traveling, practically not eating, with only one thought in his mind. He just wants to catch hold of the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and give his life fully to that seva. And when he comes in the assembly of Mahaprabhu, the devotees, they point him out to Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu comes forward and embraces him at that time. And Raghunath, he's all disheveled, etc. But Mahaprabhu is so, many times Mahaprabhu, he exhibits this mood of wanting to serve his devotees. This mood of seva. Also, Mahaprabhu, he wants to partake in that mood. And then he addresses Raghunath with sweet words and calls Swarup Damodar and puts Swarup Damodar's hand in the hand of Raghunath Das and says, now you are Swarup Raghu. Instructs Swarup Damodar to take care of Raghunath Das. And then for the next 15, 16 years, Raghunath Das is living with Swarup Damodar together. So this was the incredible fortune that Raghunath Das acquired. And initially, his father was sending him so much money, etc., for his survival. But Raghunath was using that money just to feed the Vaishnavas. And after some time, he decided, no, I don't want to take any of this money anymore. So he would send that Brahmin back who brought the donation. And then he would just start begging. Mahaprabhu was very pleased to see this renunciation. He went through different stages of renunciation with all the different devotees. First of all, he was begging on the street. And then he decided, no, this is not sufficient not a mood of, I'm looking at one man thinking he gave me yesterday, perhaps he will give me today. He didn't like the mood of that. So after some time, he gave that up. And then he was taking from the free food booth, prashadam. And then after some time, he didn't like that even. And he was taking the rice, the rotten rice that was actually thrown away by the vendors, and not even the cows, the Tailanga cows, not even they would take. And he would come at night and he would take some of that rice, he would wash it very carefully, and he would eat it with a little bit of salt. And that was his life. That was his life sustenance. And Swarup Damodar, meanwhile, was relating all these different stages of external renunciation that Raghunath was exhibiting. And Mahaprabhu at each phase was very, very pleased to see his dedicated renunciation. This is only for the pleasure of Krishna. If we try to be renounced like this and we're not actually in love with Krishna, so to speak, then that renunciation will be imitation. It will be false, falgu vairagya. Mahaprabhu instructed him, don't perform this marketa vairagya. This is what he was instructed in Shantipur. Marketa vairagya means monkey renunciation. So this yukta vairagya was the renunciation that Raghunath embraced. This means using all of his time and energy to serve Krishna. So Raghunath stayed for, some scriptures say 14 years, some 15 years, some 16 years. But something in that region of time, he remained in Puri Dham, serving Swarup Dham. At that time, Mahaprabhu, he gave him one Govardhan Shila to worship. Mahaprabhu had been given that Shila and a set of Gunja shells to represent Sri Radha. And the shelagram was representing Krishna. And Mahaprabhu would hold that shelagram, wash it with his tears of his eyes, and hold it on his chest while he chanted. It was very dear to Mahaprabhu, and he gave this to Raghunath Das because he could appreciate Raghunath Das's total dedication to his bhajan and seva. So then Mahaprabhu, of course, in 1534, Mahaprabhu, he leaves this world. He winds up his earthly pastimes. At that time, all the Vaishnavas are utterly devastated. And a few months later, on the day of Rath Yatra, Swarup Damodar leaves this world also. And within a few short months after that, Gadadhar Pandit leaves this world. So all the Vaishnavas that Raghunath Das had been associating with, living with, serving, they were his very life and soul that he'd been with. And they'd all been so generous-hearted with, because Raghunath is so much younger than all these other personalities. And then at that time, he decided that the separation mood from Mahaprabhu was too much overwhelming. So he would go to Giriraj Govardhan and jump from Giriraj Govardhan. He was thinking in his mind that if I jump from Govardhan, then surely Giriraj Maharaj will take me in his embrace and take me into that spiritual land of Goloka Vrindavan. This is what was in his mind. But he couldn't bear the thought of living in this world without Mahaprabhu or Swarup Damodar or Gadadhar Pandit. So I'm trying to tell it very quickly and very shortly so that many details, because we've got two other personalities. He comes, and then Rupa and Raghunath, they persuade him, convince him, no, this is not the right thing to do to commit. So you go and live in Radhakund. And he follows their order. He goes to live in Radhakund, and many pastimes in Radhakund. And eventually Sanatana Goswami instructs him to build a kutia because there's many wild animals around and so on. And it's very, very austere. In Radhakund at that time, it was just two Gauriket and Kaliket. There was just two buffalo holes of water. That was all that was there. And Raghunath Das was residing on the bank of this, understanding it to be non-different from Radhakund. And during this time, during his intense bhajan, and his bhajan is really opened out in his glorious Vilap Kusumanjali. This book that Raghunath Das writes, this Vilap Kusumanjali, it contains 104 verses and is only about the nature of Manjari Bhav. How are the Manjaris relating with Sri Radhika. What is their seva, etc. And we are so fortunate in our Sangha because my Gurudev has given a very comprehensive and clear commentary on this. He spoke this commentary, so there can be no interpolation of it. If you want to listen to this commentary, all of the audios are on my website. You can go there and listen to that commentary. And this describes every detail of Raghunath Dasa's association with Sri Radhika, practically daily, performing her Shringara, her seva, etc. in his Antardesh, in his meditation. 3 stages of meditation, Bayadesh, Antarbaya, and Antyadesh. So in his Antyadesh meditation, his extreme meditation in bhajan, he would be directly serving Sri Radhika in the Kund and dressing Sri Radhika. So the whole of Vilap Kusumanjali means a beautiful bouquet of moods, of separation moods. Because when Raghunath would come out of his spurti, he would be so much in separation from Sri Radhika. He had been directly with Radhika, dressing her. Then all of a sudden, he was not with her anymore. And he was on the banks of Radhakund again. So his separation mood was torturous. And he'd be rolling around on the ground, calling out, "Hey Radhe, Radhe." And then he would come into full external consciousness, and then he would write these beautiful prayers. He wrote so many prayers for us. His whole Stavavali consists of many. There's Dan Keli, Chintamani is within that Stavavali, and he gave us Mana Shiksha also. He gave us so many exceptional books to absorb ourselves in pure bhajan. This is what Mahaprabhu came to give. He had dedicated his life for nothing more than fulfilling the mission of Mahaprabhu and being in Puri for so long. When he was in Puri, he was witnessing Mahaprabhu, those extreme exhibitions of Vipralamba that Mahaprabhu demonstrated when he became like a tortoise, etc., at the Sringadavaha gate, when he fell into the ocean and became so elongated, etc. Raghunath Das was there and he witnessed all of these remarkable Astasatvika bhavs manifesting that no one else had ever seen in Puridam. So he was carrying all that in his heart. So when Raghunath Das was in Radhakund, he also had the inspiration to develop a Kund. And he had that desire, and Krishna manifested one very wealthy merchant who came and offered him all that money, and Raghunath wouldn't accept it, but instead told him to construct Radhakund, which is what we have today. So Raghunath Das has given us the Radhakund that we have today also in its external form. But he's given much more than that. He's given the moods of Radhakund. Raghunath Das is our Prayojanacharya, and he's given the moods of Radhakund. He spent more than 40 years in Radhakund. More than 40 years he spent there performing his intense bhajan, and he's recorded all of that. But more than this, he has given those the wealth of his appreciation into the heart of Srila Krsna Das Kaviraja. Srila Krsna Das Kaviraja, who are also glorifying today, he was in his family home in Jamatpur, here in Bengal, and Mini Caitanya Ram came one day to their house, and there was an argument because the pujari, Gunanava Mishra, was doing the puja at the time when Mini Caitanya Ram came to the house and didn't properly honor Mini Caitanya Ram. Mini Caitanya Ram is a exceptionally advanced personality, one of the 12 Gopals. Actually, no, he's not. No, he's not. That's why I hesitated when I heard you say that. No, he's not. But he's certainly dedicated to Nityananda Prabhu. But he would always carry a flute, and he was just a dramatic, exceptional personality. Anyway, Gunanava Mishra didn't respect him, and his brother took the side of the pujari, not respecting him. And he had an argument with his brother, and that night, Baladev or Nityananda Prabhu came in a dream and directed him to go to Radhakund, go to Vrindavan straight away. Very beautiful. All of this is described by Krishna Das Kaviraja himself in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Adi Lila. It's described, chapter 5, all of this pastime is there. And then, but Krishna Das Kaviraja this time was a young man. There's a painting we have in our Chaitanya Charitamritas, and it depicts him as an older man when he had that vision of Balaram. But that's a mistake, complete mistake. He was about 18 years old when he left his home forever. And I went to his place of residence, his birthplace. He has Gaunitai deities there. And it's just exactly like a house. There's no, nothing has been made special about for tourists, etc., to come in there. And we met one older man who was there, and he told us the history that he had heard from his father and his father and his father, that at a very young age, of about 18 or 19, Srila Krishna Das Kaviraja was never married. So at about 18 years old, he went to Radhakund and he spent the rest of his life in Radhakund. And he gave to the world this exceptional granta of the Govinda Lilamrita. This Govinda Lilamrita describes every moment of the day of Krishna's pastimes. And this, for the devotees' absorption in Vrindavan pastimes, is essential for us to absorb. And in his wonderful gift to the world, because previously there had been Chaitanya Mangal and Chaitanya Bhagavat, but neither of them had described the Antya Lila of Mahaprabhu. None of them had described that. So the devotees were very much requesting Krishna Das Kaviraj to describe the later pastimes of Mahaprabhu. And Krishna Das Kaviraj, he requests the deity of Madan Mohan for consent to do this. And he attributes all of his writing only to the deity of Madan Mohan, who is actually inspiring his pen to write. He says many times during this Chaitanya Charitamrita, I am not writing. This is Madan Mohan is actually writing this granta for the pleasure of the Vaishnavas. And so he, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he says that if all the books in the world were lost and there was only the Chaitanya Charitamrita, everything would be intact. There would be no problem, because everything from top to bottom is contained within the Chaitanya Charitamrita. One time Prabhupada was asked, why didn't our Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, why didn't you translate the Chaitanya Bhagavat and you chose to translate the Chaitanya Charitamrita? And his comment was, because Chaitanya Charitamrita is a more scholarly publication. Chaitanya Bhagavat is filled with emotional sweetness, nothing but Madhurya, 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 all the way through, it's sweet. But Chaitanya Charitamrita, the subtle truths that Krishna Das Kaviraj, through his expertise, is able to actually enumerate are phenomenal, because he also had the notebooks of Swarup Damodar, which were held in Swarup Damodar's throat. They're called kadachas, notebooks. But those notebooks, we think of a notebook like this, but it's described, no, these notebooks were actually in his heart and in his throat. And he gave these to Raghunath Dasa. So Raghunath Dasa is speaking the words of Swarup Damodar and the words of his own understanding directly into the heart of Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj, who's able to enumerate these incredibly subtle appreciations of the identity of Mahaprabhu in a form, in such a way that no Sahajism could begin to enter into his descriptions, because it's so much supported with Shastra, completely Shastric from beginning to end. And even our Acharyas, especially Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, if we read, for example, in the 19th chapter of the Antya Lila, he's included the whole Brahmara Gita from the 10th canto Bhagavatam within his purport commentary. Every single verse of the Brahmara Gita is there. So this is one of the most esoteric pastimes of the Bhagavatam. So this is all included within the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then he also includes, in the next verse, 108, this is in the 19th chapter of Antya-lila, the Mahishi Geet, the queens of Dwarka, that Geet, and every single verse is there too in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Chaitanya Charitamrita is like the complete beginning and end of all scripture. Nothing is lacking there. And because Mahaprabhu is the Yuga avatar, it's so essential that we immerse ourselves in this Chaitanya Charitamrita. And today we can take that prayer, being his disappearance day, to please give us the energy and foresight to take our absorption in this remarkable grantha very, very seriously. There's Adi-lila, Madhya-lila, and Antya-lila. And the commentaries are incredible that Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given, but all the way through, it's so profound. And Krishna Das Kaviraja, he quotes many times from his Chaitanya, from his Govinda Lilamrita, just making a clear backdrop of the Vrindavan pastimes, etc. But there's nothing, and he shows clearly the relationship that Mahaprabhu has with all his eternal parikars. Mahaprabhu is there for 18 years living in Puri, and all his various relationships with all the devotees there, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Ramananda Rai, Swarup Damodar, Bhakreshwar Pandit, Nityananda Prabhu, all of these personalities are described beautifully and opened out by Srila Krishna Das Kaviraja in this Chaitanya Charitamrita. Also in this Chaitanya Charitamrita, of course, we have the Rai Ramananda Samvad, which is like actually the heartbeat of this Chaitanya Charitamrita. Everything is there in that Rai Ramananda Samvad in the Madhya-lila chapter 8. There is everything to appreciate about this gift that Mahaprabhu is giving of Raganuga Bhakti. We don't actually need any other scripture, because the Bhagavatam is inclusive within this Chaitanya Charitamrita. There are so many Bhagavatam indications and quotes within this Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this Chaitanya Charitamrita is something exceptional. And our most esteemed and beloved Raghunath Bhatta Goswami was also connected in the same way as I've connected these two people. Raghunath Bhatta, he had the ability to chant the Srimad Bhagavatam in so many wonderful melodies and sweet rags, etc. He is the son of Tapana Mishra. Tapana Mishra was gifted a dream and came to meet Mahaprabhu in Bangladesh. When Mahaprabhu was touring Bangladesh, when he left Lakshmi Priya, and at that time Lakshmi Priya left the world, this world, Mahaprabhu was in Bangladesh preaching as Nimai Pandit, not as Mahaprabhu. This is Nimai Pandit. This is before. This is in 1520, something like this. He left home. Oh, sorry. Must have been 15:7 or 15:8 when Mahaprabhu went to Bangladesh. Because in 15:10, he leaves his household completely. So while he was there, Tapana Mishra came and made his connection with Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu instructs him to go back to Varanasi. Tapana Mishra at that time wanted to stay and remain for the rest of his life with Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu said, no, you go back to Kashi, you go back to Varanasi, and you stay there. I will come soon. I will come and stay with you. So we see that something 6 or 7 years later, when Mahaprabhu is going to Vrindavan through the Jarikanda forest, he comes to Varanasi and he takes all his meals with Tapana Mishra. Tapana Mishra has a young son called Raghunath. This is Raghunath Bhatta. He becomes Raghunath. Bhatta is the name or the, title of a qualified Sanskritist who has memorized one whole Veda. Srila Bharati Maharaj, he explains this title, Bhatta. It's not his surname, it's a title, it's Bhattacharya. It's Raghunath Bhattacharya. So Raghunath, at that time when Mahaprabhu comes to Varanasi, He's only 9 or 10 years old, Raghunath Bhatta, and he is able to offer many wonderful personal savors to Mahaprabhu. He massages him, he cleans his cloth, he does so many things like this, and he gets Mahaprabhu's mercy. And when Mahaprabhu, then he goes to Prayag, and then he goes to Vrindavan, and then on his way back, Mahaprabhu stays again, this time though for 2 months. Previously, on his first journey through Varanasi, he only stayed for a week or so, not so long, at the house of Chandrasekhar, but he took his meals at the house of Tapana Mishra. That's where he had the connection with Raghunath Bhatta. And then, but when he comes back the second time, he again stays at Chandrasekhar's house, but he goes to Tapana Mishra's house every day for his meal. And at that time, Raghunath Bhatta has the whole 2 months when he's offering seva. When Raghunath Bhatta becomes 20 years old, then he goes directly to Puri to serve Mahaprabhu. And he serves Mahaprabhu in Puri for 8 months. And Mahaprabhu finally sends him back. And he gives him 2 instructions. He says, don't get married, and you study the Bhagavatam under a Vaishnava scholar in Varanasi. So he does like this. He comes back to Varanasi and he doesn't marry, and he studies very carefully the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then 4 years later, he again, then Mahaprabhu instructs him to stay with your parents as long as they need you. So his parents are old at that time, and when his parents leave this world, then again Raghunath Bhatta goes straight to Puri in the association of Mahaprabhu for another 8 months. So Raghunath Bhatta has directly 16 months direct association with Mahaprabhu. And Raghunath Bhatta, he is so erudite in the Shastras, he's so pure personality, and his speaking of the Bhagavatam, as I've already described, was so attractive to all the Vaishnavas. And Mahaprabhu at that time, he gives him Kantimala and a garland, and he instructs him to go to Vrindavan and take shelter of Rupa and Sanatan. So Raghunath Bhatta goes at that time. Raghunath Bhatta is younger than Rupa and Sanatan, comparatively younger, and he comes under the tutelage of Rupa and Sanatan, and he stays there for the rest of his life in Vrindavan and in Radhakund. He comes to Radhakund and he stays in Radhakund, and he's associating with Krsna Das Kaviraja, and he's associating with Raghunath Dasa, also is still there in the final stages of his life. So Raghunath Bhatta, his amazing qualification that we always hear about, described in his character, is that he would never ever hear any gossip whatsoever. He would just completely not listen to anything. He would never certainly listen to any criticism of any devotee. He would never hear like that. So Raghunath Bhatta, his exemplary character really enthused all the Vaishnavas. And Raghunath Das was serving Rupa Goswami when Rupa Goswami wanted to build the Govinda Mandir that we have today. And he took a great part in that construction of that. He had many disciples, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and he engaged all his disciples in the seva of building that incredible, it was 7 stories high originally, that Govinda Mandir. And Aurangzeb, he knocked down the first 5 floors practically. But when Raghunath Bhatta was there, he was building this enormous, incredible temple. So he never wrote any books, but he would always speak and chant the beautiful prayers, etc. And the Vaishnavas always, and he would cook. So his cooking was just nectar. And he cooked for Mahaprabhu regularly when he came to Puri. When he was staying for 8 months in Puri, he would cook. And it's described, he cooked many, many preparations that tasted absolutely like nectar. So he had all these remarkable qualities. Raghunath Bhatta. So Raghunath Bhatta, of course, sits with our 6 Goswamis, the 6 principal Goswamis of Vrindavan. But today we're celebrating these 3 who all left their bodies on the same day. Raghunath Das, Krsna Das Kaviraja, and Raghunath Bhatta. So Raghunath Bhatta comes in between these 2. There's Raghunath Das first, then it's Krsna Das Kaviraja. Oh, sorry, and then it's Raghunath Bhatta, and then it's Krsna Das Kaviraja, is the youngest of these 3. So this is the some very small description of these 3 remarkable personalities. But today we can be meditating on their different moods and characteristics, all supporting Mahaprabhu's mood of wanting to gift this world Raganuga Bhakti. This gift of Rag Marg is so exceptional and so subtle for the jiva to be able to accept and to begin to apply into his life. We've been reading Jaiva Dhamma, we've reached the Bhav Bhakti chapters, etc., and we've had some appreciation of the subtlety of Raganuga Bhakti. And these personalities, because of their exceptional devotion to Sri Radhika, they are all Manjaris. Krsna Das Kaviraja, he's Kasturi Manjari, and Raghunath Bhatta, he's Rag Manjari. So these are all directly sent by Sri Radhika in support of Mahaprabhu's mission to inject the mood and nature of Rag Marg into this world. So if we absorb our hearts and souls in their teachings, their writings, listen to their descriptions of their characters and their personalities, etc., and we can just see how they dedicated their entire existence to pleasing Sri Radhika, especially because they all lived in Radhakund. All of them were there staying in Radhakund. And Radhakund, even today, is an austere place in one sense to actually reside, but in those days there was nothing. And so they just were happily living from the mercy of Sri Radhika directly. This means they were intoxicated in Krishna Prem all day because of the height of their devotion. So these 3 personalities we celebrate today and pray specifically for, I am praying for their mercy to open the door to Vrindavan. In a few days, we're going to begin our Vrindavan Prikrama. And these 3 personalities can greatly support and nourish our moods to become absorbed in the pastimes exclusively of Radha and Krishna and the gopis in Vrindavan for the next month at least for this month. So every year, this day just comes just prior to Kartik, and my Gurudev used to explain this is like a wind-up call. This is to appreciate the bhav, the moods of these 3 exalted personalities, completely detached from everything material, utterly, and only wanting to dedicate their lives totally to the service of Srimati Radhika, which is the nature of Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu himself is serving Radhika in the sense that he wants to experience her Vipralamba Bhav. In Puri, in particular, in Navadvip, Mahaprabhu is like the arrogant scholar and almost like having a Shamras mood to him. It's only in the kirtans in Srivasangam later on, just the last year or 18 months of his time here in Navadvip, that Radha Ras began to actually manifest. But prior to that, he was teasing the young girls, etc., and acting almost like Krishna, in Krishna's stealing butter, etc., from the, or stealing, mischievous young boy. But then in Puri, he was just utterly absorbed in the Vipralamba bhavs of Sri Radhika. And this was his mood. So all of these personalities, Raghunath Bhatta, Krsna Das Kaviraja, and Raghunath Das, they all imbibed these exceptional qualities. So I'm going to conclude here. And thank you all very much for your attention. Raghunath Das Goswami Pada Ki Jai, Srila Krsna Das Kaviraja Goswami Ki Jai, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami Pada Ki Jai, Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Gauda Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol, Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhuvevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnave Vyo Namaha.